Welcome back to Ghost Powered Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Amazon Prime. And real quick before we get into this, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, because that really does help this channel out so much. For those of you not familiar with this channel, once a week I go searching through the popular streaming platforms and come up with 10 horror movies to recommend to you guys. And this week I went searching through Amazon Prime and came up with 10 horror movies that I think you will enjoy. And with that, let's get to the list. Alright, kicking this list off is Predator 2.
It landed in the world's most forbidding jungle. Now, it's coming to a different kind of jungle.
So Predator is one of the most popular horror slash sci-fi movies ever made. I get that. Definitely it's a beloved movie. But I feel like in a lot of ways, Predator 2 has never gotten the credit it deserves. Is it a perfect movie? Hell no. Does it have issues? Yes. Is it really cheesy in a lot of ways? Yes, most definitely. But it is also a very, very fun little sci-fi action horror movie that I think, like I said, has been very much underrated.
You don't know what you're dealing with.
This time, it's open season on all of us.
So Danny Glover just absolutely kicks fucking ass in this movie, and one of the things I love the most about it is that Danny Glover is not some big hulking badass like Arnold. He's just this regular cop, but he takes it to the Predator. He doesn't back down, doesn't run, hide. Like, he takes it to him and goes toe-to-toe with his smarts, whatever he can, to go up against these guys. And it is just a very entertaining little flick that if you've never checked it out, and you're a fan especially of the original Predator, then you definitely should check out Predator 2.
Predator 2. Hunting season opens again this Christmas.
All right, next, Afflicted.
All right, I'm Cliff Rose.
And I'm Derek Lee, and tomorrow we're going on a year-long trip around the world!
We're going to film the entire thing, and we're going to post it online as a travel blog.
It's gonna be epic.
So this is a found footage movie, and this is very hard to talk about without ruining, because this is one of those movies that if you know, you know. So don't listen to anybody talk to you about this movie if you've never seen it, because it will ruin it. So I'm going to just say this. It is very interesting, gets very horror, but it's just different in a lot of ways than a lot of found footage movies. It's about these two guys that go on this trip of a lifetime to travel the world, basically before they get too old, these two friends, and something happens and things start to go sideways and it starts to evolve into this really cool horror movie.
Oh my God, Derek!
And it's found footage, but it's in a way that makes sense because they're filming and documenting this amazing trip that they're on. They do a lot of creative ways in this movie to continue to roll footage, even when things go completely sideways. But this is just one of my favorite underrated movies. This is just one of those movies that if you don't know the twist, it just makes it so much more fun. But if you do know the twist and you still have never seen it, it's still a great movie and definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a fan of found footage. If you're a fan of found footage and you've never seen this, then this definitely needs to be a must on your watch list. Next up, we go to Them.
We imagine things that aren't always there. But tonight, your imagination isn't playing tricks.
So Them is a French home invasion movie that has similarities to movies like The Strangers and stuff like that. But this has a very unique twist on all of that, and I can't give it away because if I do, it'll really ruin this in a lot of ways. It's not your normal type of home invasion situation. But this movie gets damn scary in a very real way. If you're not a fan of realistic feeling movies where you genuinely feel terrified for the characters, then you might want to skip this one. But if you like stuff that gets very intense, very scary, then yeah, This is definitely a must. So yeah, you gotta watch subtitles with this movie, but there's not a ton because of the situation they're in. They just don't talk a lot. So a lot of this is just body language, terrifying moment after terrifying moment. This is just a damn good movie that I highly recommend. All right, next we go to the series Dexter.
Tonight's the night, and it's going to happen again and again.
So here's the thing. A lot of people have watched the series Dexter, and like myself, I've actually rewatched the whole entire series a couple times. I love this series. But here's the reason it's on this list. Is because, believe it or not, if you haven't heard already, Dexter returns this fall. And I couldn't be more excited. But I just feel like now is a great time to kind of refresh your memory and run through the series again. Especially for anyone who's a big fan of Dexter, it's just great to kind of get your head back into that world. But I mean, it's just also a damn good series. But if by some chance you're one of those people that haven't checked it out, and yet you like true crime, you like creepy serial killer, horror, this and that, you definitely need to check it out.
You better be a cop.
No, forensics.
That was my favorite blood spatter analyst.
But I'm just so excited to see what they do, because a lot of big fans of Dexter know that it didn't end the greatest way. Most people, including myself, were pretty disappointed with the way this ended. So it's going to be nice to hopefully put a bow on this series, even if it only does one more season. But if they do it in a right way to where it feels like it ends in a correct way. So just for that alone, I feel like it's worth getting back into this world. And I'm just damn excited about it, wanted to talk about it. So that's why it's on this list.
Catching monsters is what I do best.
Next up is a film called Outpost.
An equation that could potentially alter reality. A soldier that was invulnerable, unstoppable.
So I had never heard of Outpost, and I was very surprised on how good of a little film this is. This is not some stacked lineup cast with a big budget or anything like that. This is a more slow, small kind of picture, but yet it's very well done. It actually was much better done than I expected. Like, you look at the cover art or whatever, it just doesn't look like it's going to be that great. And even early on, it moves kind of slow, so you're thinking, I don't know about this. But if you hang in there and get through the first quarter of this movie or so, it starts to definitely pick up. But the basic idea, premise, whatever you want to call it, about this movie is this group of mercenaries go to the UK. They're hired by this guy to find this gold in this old bunker, this old World War II bunker. And when they get there, things start to go sideways. Nazis get involved, weird experiment stuff, and it becomes this weird, creepy zombie, but not like you're thinking. It's definitely a little different. I just feel like if you're a fan of zombie stuff and war, gunplay, you know, that whole kind of thing, and that sounds like something you would enjoy, as long as you keep in mind that it's a pretty small movie and it isn't going to necessarily blow you away, I think you'll definitely enjoy it.
They're gonna tear us to pieces here.
Ray Stevenson, Outpost.
Next up, we go to Arrival.
There are days that define your story beyond your life. Like the day they arrived.
So this is much more sci-fi, very little horror. It does have some creepy moments though, especially when you're not sure exactly what's going on early on in this movie. It does give you the willies a few times, at least it did with me.
Now that's a proper introduction.
But it's about alien contact. Basically, these UFOs, aliens, whatever, they come to Earth. And it's our first interaction with them. And the whole way that plays out is done in a really kind of cool way because it feels almost real. It feels like this is a scenario that is based in science and makes a lot of sense. But it's got really great acting in it. I love the creature designs in this. They're very, very unique. It's just one of those movies that it got some buzz when it came out, but still not nearly enough people talk about.
Got 21 hours.
Before we start global war.
So how do we clarify their intentions?
I go back in.
And it's one of my favorite sci-fi movies from the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so. Like, I really, really enjoy this movie.
Why does this feel worse?
All right, next up we go to the 1997 version of The Crazies.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell are you doing? Rory, you lay that gun down.
So the original version was a great movie and everything, but for me, I personally enjoy the 1997 version more. This movie is kind of weird in a way because early on in this movie, it feels like it's going to be cheesy and not that great of a movie because some of the acting is suspect and just the dialogue choices and things like that, especially when they're starting to set things up early in the movie. But once this movie gets going, it is just a great thrill ride with some characters that you really get invested in and really enjoy. This is just one of those movies that I hadn't seen until not too long ago, and I was like, damn, man, this movie's really fun. I also think there's this creepiness to this movie more so now than there was before because of the whole pandemic that we're dealing with and just everything that's going on around us. We see the military getting involved, and we've seen in the last year just different craziness like that, and that's basically the premise of this movie. Granted, they're not just getting sniffles and coughing and whatever. These people are going out of their fucking gourd and killing each other, and that's what makes it a fun horror movie.
Is he dead?
But still, there's just enough of what's going on in this movie that you can relate to with the things we've had to go through that really just gives it this extra creepy quality. I feel like it's one I don't hear people talk about enough, and I think you should definitely check it out. All right, next up we go to Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh.
Candyman, flesh and blood? I'm afraid not.
But he lives in the mirror.
You say his name 5 times, he's supposed to come.
That's how he gets you.
So this is Candyman 2. And is it as good as the original? No, definitely not. But is it as bad as the third one? Hell no. It's way better than that. But to me, if you're a fan of Candyman and are excited to go see it this weekend, then I think this is a good one to check out because it tells more of the backstory of Candyman. It tells more of how he became the way he is, and it does it in a pretty cool way, showing some flashback stuff. This is just actually a lot better movie than I think a lot of people give it credit for. And if you're a fan of Tony Todd, I mean, no matter what, it's got fucking Tony Todd as Candyman in this, so he's brilliant no matter what.
You brought me here.
But Candyman 2, even with all of its flaws, it's definitely still one that I recommend you check out.
Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh.
All right, next up we go to the first part of my double feature weekend, and that would be Last Shift.
Anybody in here?
All right, so this movie is absolutely fucking full of creepy, evil goodness, man. There is just so many creepy, gross, demonic scenes, just this really fun little ride, and it's a small movie. Not a lot of people talk about it, but I think if you're someone that likes gore, that likes evil shit, and creepy stuff, this is just a can't miss. I absolutely love this movie. I first recommended this movie when it was available on Shudder, but now it's available on Amazon Prime, and I'm so excited because there's a much wider audience of people that get to watch Amazon Prime, and this is one that really, really deserves more eyeballs.
In the arms of my master, my king.
This movie just fucking rips. Seriously, if you have not seen this and you're a huge fan of horror, definitely check this movie out.
I like you. I won't come back for you and all you love. Mark my words.
All right, next up is the second part of the double feature weekend, and it's also the last film on this list, and it is a movie called Daniel Isn't Real.
It's common for people to see things that aren't real.
This is another one that lived on Shudder for quite a while and now is available on Amazon Prime. And once again, just like Last Shift, I'm so excited because more people get to see this. And this is another absolute gem. This movie is weird and twisted and gets into the body horror side of horror. It's got these weird psychedelic kind of colors at times. It's a very interesting, weird movie that is really hard to even explain. Basically about this guy who has an imaginary friend.
You needed my help.
And you just go with him on this crazy fucking ride of him trying to figure out what's real and what's not. This movie just goes down this twisted, crazy road and is an absolute entertaining blast that I highly recommend.
He's weak. He's lonely. And he's nothing without me.
Alright, so that's going to do it for me today. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know if you've checked any of these out or if you plan to. Also, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this at least 2 times every week, I also want to give a huge, massive thank you to my patrons, because you guys, yeah, you guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.